I don't know if the referees could have prevented the Sophie Cunningham injury. I'm going to be honest with that. I don't know if the referees could have done it. I don't know if it was intentional from Bria Hartley. I think if it was anyone other than Bria Hartley or Marina Mabry on the Sun team, everyone would have just said, no, it's not intentional. It was completely accidental.
The WNBA has a problem. And it's not just the empty seats or the mediocre TV ratings. It's the fact that referees in this league are absolutely failing to take accountability for the injury epidemic that's plaguing not just the Indiana Fever, but every single team across the WNBA. And now, Sophie Cunningham's family has had enough.
Right here, we got Sophie's sister Lindsay and her mom Paula. At WNBA, maybe you should focus less on fining players for commenting on your poor officiating and more about hiring officials that are able to call a consistent game, protect your athletes. Pathetic. Praying for you, Sophie Cunningham. Yeah, officially, my two favorite players in this league that I really love to, particularly love to pull for, they're both out now. And it did not look good.
The Sophie Cunningham injury isn't just another unfortunate accident. It's the inevitable result of a system where officials blow their whistles at phantom fouls, but somehow go blind when real danger unfolds right in front of their faces.
There are players that cannot be replaced, and there are an abundance of players that no one gives a shit about. If you're the WNBA, common sense would dictate that you do everything in your power to protect your star players. You do everything you can to protect your assets. But for some reason, this dump of a league seems to protect anonymous faces over the pretty faces. They protect the players who are injuring the players that people are paying to see.
Sophie Cunningham is not an injury-prone player. This woman has been a warrior throughout her career, consistently showing up and performing at the highest level. But of course, in the season where Caitlin Clark has been injured the most, where the Indiana Fever has had to bring in several new players just to field a team, now Sophie gets hurt too. This isn't a coincidence, people. This is a pattern, and it's a dangerous one.
Dirty, dirty Bria, of course. It had to be a dirty, dirty Bria. I would really hate to see ya in a dark alley. Dirty Bria Hartley back at it again with her shenanigans, and this time around she had her eyes set on one Sophie the Trophy Cunningham. Sophie, get well soon. Hopefully the MRI later today shows nothing too serious. Would love to see you back on the court. Bria Hartley dives for Sophie Cunningham's knees. Doesn't even try to avoid the collision. Doesn't try to move out the way. Bria Hartley sees Sophie's legs and says, that's the direction I'm going to fall in, even though...
And let's be crystal clear here. The Cunningham family isn't holding back anymore. They've called out this nonsense for exactly what it is. A league that prioritizes fining players for speaking truth to power over actually protecting the athletes who put their bodies on the line every single night.
Player, and boy did it show up again today. Welcome to Keep the Vision. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share the channel, and hit that bell notification. Listen, Sophie Cunningham was targeted, y'all. I'm telling you right now, Sophie Cunningham was targeted by Bria Hartley, and it just is what it is. It is what it is. I don't want to sit here and play games and act like, you know, she wasn't. She was targeted by Bria Hartley, and that's just the fact of the matter. And people can act like it's not all they want. I told you guys this girl was a dirty player, and that's all she did today was show how dirty she is.
Sophie's sister Lindsay went nuclear on social media, blasting the WNBA with surgical precision. WNBA, maybe you should focus less on fining players for commenting on your poor officiating and more about hiring officials that are able to call a consistent game and protect your athletes. Pathetic.
I think when it comes to Bria Hartley, I don't know if the intent is there, but she's completely reckless. Like, there are some players you can tell the intent is there when they have to go out of their way to, like, I think when it comes to Alyssa Thomas, you can tell when she hits someone hard that the intent is there. You can tell that she wants to hurt some, or maybe not hurt somebody, but she wants to rough them up. With Bria Hartley, I don't know. She might just be completely out of control. So that's something like completely reckless is fine. And then Sophie Cunningham's sister. Maybe you should focus less on fining players for commenting on your poor officiating and more about hiring officials that are able to call a consistent game and protect your athletes. Pathetic. Praying for you, so Fowler.
If you are enjoying, please subscribe. What happened on Sunday against the Connecticut Sun was absolutely devastating to watch. Sophie Cunningham, the Indiana Fever's enforcer and one of the few players actually showing heart on that roster, was defending the baseline when Connecticut Sun guard Bria Hartley came barreling toward the basket. Hartley loses control, shocker, and crashes directly into Cunningham's right knee like a freight train with broken brakes. Cunningham immediately crumples to the floor, clutching her knee in visible agony, tears streaming down her face as Fever staff rush to her aid.
Cunningham is down. My goodness.
You can literally hear her screaming in pain. It's so heartbreaking. Indiana Fever star guard Sophie Cunningham, the enforcer, had a lower leg injury today against the Connecticut Suns. It happened on this play. She's helping on defense, steps up, gets her legs tangled, goes down, ruled out for the game. The severity of the injury is right now unknown, but she had to be helped off the court.
The collision wasn't some split-second basketball play gone wrong. This was Hartley doing what she apparently does best, playing out of control and leaving destruction in her wake. Sophie's mother, Paula Cunningham, didn't mince words when she described Hartley as a disgruntled player having trouble everywhere she goes. She's plain mean and plays out of control. And honestly, the receipts are stacking up. Hartley has been involved in multiple scuffles this season, consistently playing with the kind of reckless abandon that makes insurance companies nervous.
And Sophie's mother, Paula, Hartley is a disgruntled player having trouble everywhere she goes. She's plain mean and plays out of control. So, what can you say? I do not blame Sophie's mother and sister for being upset. Marina Mabrey went nuts in this game, scored 27 points.
But here's where this story takes a turn from unfortunate injury to full-scale family revolt against the WNBA establishment. Sophie's family is not staying quiet about this, and they're making it clear that they've reached their breaking point with how the WNBA is handling player safety. The Cunninghams aren't just upset, they're ready to lawyer up and take on the entire league. They're not blaming Sophie, and why would they? This is a player who's practically bulletproof when it comes to injuries, someone who's built her entire career on toughness and reliability. But of course, in the season where Caitlin Clark has been injured more than a crash test dummy, where the Indiana Fever has had to bring in several new players just to field a roster, naturally Sophie gets taken out too. The timing is almost comedic if it weren't so tragic. Caitlin Clark has been sidelined for 19 of 32 possible games this season with various groin and quad injuries. The Fever already lost guards Ari McDonald and Sydney Colson to season-ending injuries. And now, Sophie, the one consistent presence holding this injury-ravaged roster together, gets knocked out by yet another accidental collision that the referees somehow didn't see coming.
I don't know how the Indiana Fever can continue to survive these things. Here you see Sophie Cunningham laid out on the floor, holding her knee. The lady was in tears, crying as Lexi Hall approached her to help her through this situation. I don't know if it's her knee. I don't know if it's her Achilles, the way she was kind of dragging her foot. I don't know. But Bria Hartley has had dirty plays all season. You got to know who we're talking about. Bria Hartley is the same girl. Bria Hartley is the same woman that pulled Angel Reese out of there by her ponytail.
Let's talk about the elephant in the room. This league has an injury epidemic that would make a medieval battlefield surgeon blush. Lucas Seehafer, who conducted a PhD study on WNBA epidemiology, has documented 77 injuries in the 2025 season alone, with 20 knee injuries specifically. To put that in perspective, the league is on track to shatter the 203 total injuries from all of 2024, and we're not even close to the playoffs yet. But instead of addressing this carnage, what does the WNBA do? They fined Sophie Cunningham $500 for a TikTok video that called out referee incompetence. They slapped her with another $1,500 fine for daring to question officiating standards on her podcast. The league's message is clear. Shut up, play hurt, and don't you dare point out that the emperors of officiating have no clothes. The Cunningham injury perfectly encapsulates everything wrong with the WNBA's current trajectory. Sophie has been averaging nearly 26 minutes per game, contributing 89 points and 36 rebounds while serving as the Fever's emotional backbone. She's the player fans actually connect with, not the Instagram influencer wannabes, not the players treating the court like their personal runway show, but someone who genuinely lives and breathes basketball. Her absence forces Indiana to dig even deeper into an already decimated rotation. The Fever are currently hanging onto a playoff spot at 19-17, but with Clark still sidelined and now Cunningham questionable for their crucial matchup against Minnesota, their postseason hopes are hanging by a thread.
This is a play where Sophie Cunningham is dribbling toward the baseline. As you can see, she catches the ball on the wing, dribbles down, and then JC Sheldon kind of body checks her out of bounds, but the referee didn't call a foul there. He just called it an out of bounds. Like Sophie Cunningham ran out of bounds is what he called. So you watch her here, dribbles, pushed out of bounds. Sophie's like, oh, of course, it's going to be a foul. No, it wasn't. That wasn't a foul. This one, she actually quote tweeted herself. As you can see, she's running up and then Hartley kind of elbows her in the neck and Sophie falls to the ground. Now she reposted this and she said, they said I flopped, LOL. So I guess the referees told her that she flopped on that play, or the players, who knows. Somebody told her that she flopped on that play. This is Aaliyah Boston and Tina Charles, and they are battling in the post. And then you can see Tina.
Here's the most infuriating part. While players are getting demolished on the court, WNBA referees operate with complete impunity. Commissioner Kathy Engelbert talks about valuing feedback and dedicating extensive hours to reviewing officiating. But the proof is in the pudding, or in this case, the ever-growing injury list. The league has established what amounts to a protection racket for officials, where any criticism results in immediate financial punishment for players. Sophie Cunningham perfectly summed up the absurdity. Fining me $500 isn't going to change anything. She's absolutely right. The WNBA would rather silence dissent than address the fundamental problem of inconsistent, dangerous officiating that's turning games into injury lotteries.
WNBA has an issue with dirty play in this league. Dirty play skill masked as dirty play. It's disgusting. Bria Hartley doesn't even deserve to be on a roster in this league. Sophie Cunningham's family saying, what's going on here? You guys are calling out Sophie Cunningham, finding Sophie Cunningham for calling out the officiating. Meanwhile, you're letting players just take dives at each other's. Again, Bria Hartley deserves zero benefit of the doubt in this instance.
The fan response to Cunningham's injury tells you everything you need to know about where this league is headed. One supporter captured the mood perfectly. Yeah, I'm out. No reason left to watch this team anymore then. Terrible basketball. Healing thoughts to Sophie. She's the only one that seemed to play with any heart anymore. When your most passionate supporters are walking away because they can't watch their favorite players get systematically destroyed by preventable injuries, you've lost the plot. Even more telling is the online petition demanding accountability in the WNBA officiating, which has gained momentum as fans recognize the clear connection between poor officiating and player safety. The petition specifically calls for clearer foul calling standards, enhanced referee training, and stricter enforcement of player safety rules, basically asking for the bare minimum standards that should already exist.
For the Indiana Fever, because Sophie Cunningham has been somebody, she has been the glue of this team since Caitlin has been out. She is playing so incredibly well during the second half of this season. She plays hard every single night. She's super tough. She doesn't make excuses. Like, she is somebody who has really held this team together, and seeing her go down in the first half, like, I couldn't believe it. I didn't know what it was at first when I saw her went down. So let's break down the done. Like, they just can't get out of it. The morale of the team is done. Seeing Sophie go down, like, maybe this team just doesn't have any fight left in them. And I was actually ready to give them a pass as well. I was like, you know what? It's been a hard season. And at some point you might just have to throw in the towel and be like, you know what? We will get after it next season. It is what it is.
The Cunningham family's threat to pursue legal action against the WNBA represents a potential watershed moment for the league. Unlike the usual complaints that get buried in league bureaucracy, a lawsuit would force discovery, depositions, and public accountability for officiating standards and player safety protocols. It would put the WNBA's internal communications about injury prevention under legal scrutiny. something the league has desperately tried to avoid. The legal argument practically writes itself. The WNBA has a duty of care to protect its athletes, yet continues to employ officials who consistently fail to maintain game control and prevent dangerous plays. When you have documented patterns of poor officiating, escalating injury rates, and a culture that punishes players for speaking out about safety concerns, that's a liability lawsuit waiting to happen.
On the officiating, we hear the concerns, we take that input. Every play is reviewed, spend hours and hours and hours. Obviously, we use that then to follow up with officials, training. Consistency is important, I think. I think some people who observe our game versus other basketball formats are that there aren't a ton of fouls called, but I realize consistency is the name of the game. So I think it's something we definitely look at and evaluate, and there's an independent evaluation of our officials. There are ramifications. It's something we need to continue to work on.
The Cunningham family's final warning should send chills down every WNBA executive's spine. If this carries on, players will simply stop playing. They're not putting players first. They're allowing them to get injured without any meaningful statements or changes. It's a joke that stopped being funny. Sophie Cunningham was supposed to be the reliable constant, the player who could weather any storm while others dealt with injuries. But when even your most durable players can't stay healthy because of preventable collisions and reckless play, you've created an unsustainable environment. The WNBA is literally watching its talent pool get depleted by its own negligence. The cherry on top of this disaster Sunday? The Indiana Fever actually won the Commissioner's Cup without Caitlin Clark, proving they had the talent and depth to compete at the highest level. But instead of celebrating that achievement, we're watching this roster get systematically destroyed by an injury epidemic that the league refuses to address. Meanwhile, Commissioner Engelbert continues her public relations tour talking about growth and expansion, while ignoring the fundamental safety issues that threaten the league's very foundation. The WNBA plans to expand to 18 teams by 2030, but what's the point if they can't keep their current players healthy enough to actually play?
Outside of Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham, it is extremely difficult to be positive about the WNBA. One of those stars has been injured all season, and it's highly unlikely that she is going to return this year. Sophie Cunningham has stepped up and carried the league in the absence of the Great White Hope, but now she's injured too. Many believe that their injuries are a result of dirty play. Throughout the season, fans and WNBA players, they have been begging the league to crack down on dirty players. But the diva of Dump Divas, Kat Engelbert, she is either incapable or she is unwilling to protect her star players.
The Sophie Cunningham injury isn't just another unfortunate sports moment, it's a symbol of everything the WNBA is doing wrong. When families have to threaten lawsuits just to get basic player safety considerations, when officials operate without accountability while players get fined for speaking the truth, when injury rates skyrocket while leadership focuses on expansion over protection, you've created a system destined to fail. The Cunningham family's threat to sue the WNBA isn't just about one injury, it's about forcing a reckoning with a league that has lost its way. Sophie Cunningham deserved better than getting taken out by another accidental collision from a player with a history of reckless play. The fans deserve better than watching their favorite players become casualties of institutional negligence. And the WNBA itself deserves better than the leadership that's turned player safety into an afterthought while prioritizing profit over protection. The ball is now in the WNBA's court, quite literally. They can continue down this path of willful ignorance and watch their talent pool evaporate, or they can finally address the accountability crisis that's threatening to destroy everything they've built. The Cunningham family has drawn their line in the sand. The question now is whether the league has the courage to step up and do what's right, or if they'll continue fiddling while basketball burns.